Video presentation by Janus, Camba and Melnard. Doce. Policies and issues on Internet and implications to teaching and learning. Globalization is a reality and ICT has become a fundamental part of the process. A network society is one in which the entire planet is organized around telecommunication networks of computers. The powerful use of network has broken boundaries, provided opportunities for inclusion and collaboration. However, there will also be a struggle for those who do not have access or those who are excluded, marginalized and powerless. Thus a need to establish policies in the use of ICT is imperative. As the Department of Information, Communication and Technology (DICT) says, the future has arrived. Now we have to ensure that we have a place in it. Now let's try look at how we define ICT policy. According to Oxford English Dictionary, policy is a course of action, adopted and pursued by a government, party, ruler, statesman. It is any course of action adopted as expedient or advantageous. Its operational definition of policy is a plan of action to guide decisions and outcomes. The new ICT technologies. More recent technological innovations increase the teach and speed of communications, which can be grouped into three categories. 1. Information technology includes the use of computers, which has become indispensable in modern societies to process data and save time and effort. What are needed will be computer hardware and peripherals, software, and for the user, computer literacy. So information technology means the use of hardware, software, services, and supporting infrastructure to manage and deliver information using voice, data, and video. Telecommunication technologies include telephones with fax and the broadcasting of radio and television, often through satellites. Telephone system, radio and TV broadcasting are needed in this category. Networking technologies. The best known of networking technologies is Internet, but has extended to mobile phone technology, Voice over Internet Protocol or VoIP. Voice over Internet Protocol or VoIP is available in Messenger, in Zoom, which you need to tap Voice over Internet to connect audio or to enable sound in Zoom meeting. So VoIP and satellite communications and other forms of communications are still in their infancy. In addition to Internet, this category also includes mobile telephone, cable, DSL, satellite and other broadband connectivity. ICT policies are needed to put a roadmap or course of actions to be pursued and adopted by various governments, organizations, entities involving ICT. It should include principles and guidelines in the use of ICT, which cover three main areas: telecommunications, broadcasting, and Internet, which I discussed earlier. So here are the roadmap. In our country, the Department of Information and Communication Technology, DICT, has formulated a roadmap to guide all agencies in the utilization, regulation, and enhancement of ICT. The ICT for Education ICT4E is a program under the DICT that supports all the efforts of the education sector in incorporating the use of ICT as well as in determining and gaining access to the infrastructure, hardware, software, telecommunications facilities and others, which are necessary to use and deploy learning technologies at all levels of education. In this, it provides policies, guidelines and even training to professional like teachers in order to enhance ICT. So the strategy here is to transform learners to be proficient, adaptable lifelong learners, with ICT playing a major role in creating a new and improved model of teaching and learning where education happens anytime, anywhere. Among the policy recommended programs that have applications to education teaching learning are: 1. ICT in Education Masterplan for all levels, including a national roadmap for faculty development in ICT in education. A national framework plan for ICTs in basic education was developed. In here it aims provide training and seminars to teachers who should be using ICT in education. 2. Content and Application Development through the Open Content in Education Initiative (OCEI), which converts deep materials into interactive multimedia content, develop applications used in schools, and conduct students and teachers competitions to promote the development of education-related web content. So it provides visual aids, so students can watch, listen, with the use of multimedia content. So at the end of this the learning outcomes will be better. 3. FedNet is a walled garden that hosts educational learning and teaching materials and applications for use by the Filipino students, their parents and teachers. All public high schools will be part of this network with only DEEP-approved multimedia applications, materials and mirrored internet sites accessible from schools' PCs. Number 4. Established community learning centers called Escuela for out-of-school youth, OSY, providing them with ICT-enhanced alternative education opportunities. In this, it implement education for all, so they seek education to those out-of-school youth like Alternative Learning System or ALS. So ICT is not just for regular student like us. It also for AL student. Number 5. Equality Program for Tertiary Education through partnerships with state universities and colleges (SUC) to improve quality of IT education and the use of ICT in education in the country, particularly outside of Metro Manila. So in this, it focuses in the state of colleges and universities outside Manila to improve the ICT in education to all colleges and universities in the Philippines. Number 6. Digital Media Arts Program, which builds digital media skills for government using open source technologies. Particular beneficiary agencies include the Philippine Information Agency and the other government media organizations, the Cultural Center of the Philippines, National Commission for Culture and Arts and other government art agencies, state universities and colleges and other local government units. It's very important, the open source technologies, it enhance the skill and computer literacy of the people which in this area or department. 7. ICT Skills Strategic Plan, which develops an interagency approach to identifying strategic and policy and program recommendations to address ICT skills demand-supply type. All the 7 programs were guided by the roadmap that embeds policy statements that relate to education specifically in the enhancement of human development for teaching and learning. Some issues on ICT and Internet policy and regulations. Global issues. Access and civil liberties are 2 sets of issues in ICT policy which are crucial to the modern society. The other concern is civil liberties, which refer to human rights and freedom. These include freedom of expression, the right to privacy, the right to communicate and intellectual property rights. Access of the use of Internet and ICT. Access means the possibility for everyone to use the Internet and other media. In richer countries, basic access to Internet is almost available to all with faster broadband connections. There are still countries where access to Internet is still a challenge. Issue number 1. Freedom of expression and censorship. Under International Human Rights Convention, all people are guaranteed the rights for free expression. However, with the shift from communicating through letter, newspapers and public meetings to electronic communications and online networking, a need to look into how these new means modifies the understanding of freedom of expression and censorship. The UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights provides that everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, likewise the right to freedom of opinion and expression. However, there are practices that violate these provisions in the use of Internet. Some examples are the following. 1. Individual rights are given up in order to have access to electronic networks. Microsoft Networks (MSN) contracts provide protection of individuals. However, Microsoft reserves the rights, in its sole direction, to terminate access to any or all MSN sites or services. 2. Censorship restricts the transmission of information by blocking it or filtering the information. Blocking is preventing access to whole areas of internet based upon the blacklist of certain internet address, location or email addresses, while filtering is sifting the packets of data or messages as they move across computer networks and eliminating those considered undesirable materials. 3. Defamation actions may be used to silence critics. This action deters the freedom of expression. Issue number 2. Privacy and security. Privacy policies are an issue. Most commercial sites have a privacy policy. When someone uses a site and clicks, "I agree," it is as if you have turned over private information to any authority that may access it. There are several types of privacy as shown by the following examples. 1. For most, privacy means personal privacy, the right of individuals not to have their home, private life or personal life interfered with. 2. Privacy of communication refers to the protection from interference with communication over the phone or internet. Respect of privacy of communications is an essential prerequisite for the maintenance of human relationship via technological communications media. 3. Information privacy is related to the use of computers and communication systems which are able to hold and process information about large numbers of people at a high speed. It is important to ensure that information will only be used for purposes for which it was gathered and will not be disclosed to others without consent of the individuals. Issue number 3. Surveillance and data retention. The use of electronic communications has enhanced the development of indirect surveillance. There is no direct contact between the agent and the subject of surveillance, but evidence of activities can be traced. The new and powerful form of indirect surveillance is dataveillance. Dataveillance is the use of personal information to monitor a person's activities, while data retention is the storage and use of information from communication system. There is very little that can be done to prevent surveillance. What can be done is to change the methods of working to make surveillance difficult. This is called counter-surveillance, or information security, if it refers to computers and electronic communication. Issue number 4. E-pollutants from e-waste. Large amount of e-waste is generated by ICT. These are particular terminal equipments used for computing PCs, laptops, broadcasting, television and radio sets, telephony, fixed and mobile phones, and peripherals, fax machines, printers, and scanners. The accumulated e-waste is due to rapid turnover of equipment due to rapid improvement of software. While material waste can be destroyed by crushing, toxic material brought about by the different equipment requires utmost management. The quantities of e-waste are increasing in both developed and developing countries. A very dismal state is that there is a significant amount of electronic waste that has been shipped from industrial countries to developing countries, using less environmentally responsible procedure. Remedies include standardization and regulatory measures to increase the life cycle of equipment before they become obsolete. Efficient extraction of toxic components and requiring the recycling by both consumers and equipment vendors or selling must be required. Implications to teaching and learning. There are great implications of this lesson to both the teachers who are teaching and the learners who are learning. A few of these are as follows. For the teachers and teaching. 1. Guide the teachers in what they should teach that relate to ICT, and how to teach it. Since ICT development comes so rapid and fast, teachers might be overwhelmed by its rapid speed. Temperance in its use is a caution that should be looked at. 2. Technology should never replace any human teacher. The tools or support instructional materials for the teachers which are available for use. The teacher should learn how to appropriately use them. The human touch of the teacher is still a vital component in teaching. Teachers should always be reminded that there are always limitations in the use of the different gadget and tools. 3. There are rules and regulations that govern the use of technology. Caution should be observed to protect individual privacy. As teachers, you must be aware that the use of technology may jeopardize your privacy and security. 4. All the issues and many more shall be part of the teaching content, as each teacher will be encouraged to use technology in teaching. For the learners and learning. The learners of the 21st century are even more advanced than some of the teachers. However, learners still need guidance on how to use, regulate technology use. As there are positive and negative effects of technology use, learners should know the difference. Learners should not only know the benefits of technology use, but they should also know how they can be protected from the hazards that technology brings to their lives. Learners should take advantage of the potential of learning support they can derive, such as the development of higher-order thinking skills, the development of learning communities through collaboration, the enhancement of skills to manage the valid resources as 21st century learners, and many more. Both teachers and learners should be mindful of the e-waste that are being thrown away to the land and to the atmosphere.